Hello everyone and welcome to episode 61 of the Squadron podcast. But this week we're talking about sealed pre-release. The full set has released. Absolutely, thank you, muchas gracias. Very, very Clone Wars. We have two more legendaries to talk about before we dive into the pre-release and how you, yes, you, not you, but you, are going to do in pre-release.
And how you can win your pre-release and strike fear into your opponents.
Craw, play Palpatine. That's not true. But let's dive into it.
Or is it? Find out later.
We're going to start off with the legendary that was second to last reveal.
Yeah, no one pulled it for some reason, but the final set 2 legendary that no one pulled, Cad Bane.
Cad Bane, taking hostages. Here he is. This was from that episode.
From set 2, right?
No, it wasn't. This is from that one episode where Padme gets held hostage and she accidentally has Anakin's lightsaber because they were making out in a room.
God damn it, Padme.
That is one of my least favorite episodes of the Clone
Really?
Wars. Yeah. I think
That's interesting.
So boring. Any Anakin Padme episodes make me groan.
Aww.
When they're individual, it's fine. So, Cad Bane taking hostages. He's a 7-cost 7/7 cunning villain. He is a bounty hunter underworld, Baba Booey, and he has, when you play this unit, you may capture up to 8 HP's worth, remaining HP's worth of non-leader enemy units. And then he has, on attack, your opponent may rescue a captured unit. I believe it's 3 units up to 8 health. Sorry.
Yes.
And then when attacks, your opponent may rescue a unit. If they do, you draw 2 cards. This is pretty nice.
Yeah, this is a very interesting card. It's one of those weird cards that's either really, really good or completely useless, depending on whether your opponent's playing blue or not. And it kind of falls into a weird category where it kind of is that thing of like, it's either incredible, draws you a bunch of cards, clears the board for a little bit, lets you do a bunch of stuff before you do something or it's a case where you go, haha, pay 7. And they go, awesome, I'm going to pay 4 and fell the dragon. Can I have my units back, please?
I struggle, personally, to feel if this is better than Maul. For a turn 7 Underworld beta play, is Maul better than this? And I say yes. I say
90. I think 90% of it.
Maul is better.
Maul is better.
It's tough because this unit is really interesting and really fun. It definitely belongs to the decks. Personally, I know we were just crapping on it, but personally, I still do think this is a really good unit. I'd probably run 2 of in a CAD deck, but I think overall it's more situation than Maul. Maul is generally really good, but I think in the situations where this CAD is good, is really, really good.
When CAD does what it wants to do, CAD is incredible. Being able to potentially draw 6 cards over 3 turns is huge.
I don't even mind Cad if I don't capture anything and draw. I don't mind Cad playing him and going, oi, I'm going to take this unit and then I'm going to capture both of those tokens and they're gone.
Yeah.
So
Does capture completely remove tokens?
It does, because I believe tokens change areas, then they're gone. I could be wrong about that. Wait for the FAQ to come out.
Yeah.
But I'm fairly certain.
They were a pretty hefty one for set 3 about all the token stuff.
I'm fairly certain that doing that to a token would just straight up get rid of it. Yeah,
but absolutely, this Cad Bane is really cool. I love the art for it. Yeah. I love the thematics for it. Yeah. And I think when this thing pops off, it pops off big, and it's going to be really good.
Yeah, I give it a 3.5 out of 5. I think it's really cool.
So last legendary to talk about for Star Wars Unlimited Set 3 Twilight of the Republic is Planetary Invasion. I do have to look at my phone from this. I'm not as cool as Reese is. It is a separatist plan. It is 12 cost neutral aggression and says exploit 3. Ready up to 3 units. You can pay it for 6 and just... Or you can pay it for 12, up to you.
You pay 6 and you can trigger boss for 2 days. or Zero the Hutt.
Or you can use... a Sarge Ventress to get something +1.
But it's actually good.
Ready up to 3 units. Each of those units gets +1/+0 and gains Overwhelm for this phase. So it's a bit of an interesting one. It's another one of those huge cost cards which come with a large exploit number that is really hard to kind of place on what you actually want with these.
It's not justifiable. So I think that's a problem with exploit in this set is it's not justifiable because in order to untap 3 units, you have to have 6.
Yeah.
3 of them you have to not care
Or you can
about.
pay 12 for it.
Or you can pay 12. I look at this and I look at Final Showdown and I go, I would rather have 6 units and swing with them again and lose at the end of turn than I would kill half of them and untap the others.
If I have a 12 cost event, right? Here's the thing about exploit, to me personally, right? I see this as a 12 cost event, and I look at another similarly costed event, something like Endless Legion for 14, right? Endless Legion, if I get there, wins me the game.
Yeah.
Right? This 12 cost event, if I pay 12 for it, I might win. I might be able to untap some stuff to get some more swings in.
Yeah, I don't really think you win.
But the overwhelming...
I think if you win by playing this card, you've already won. Because you're sacrificing half your board a lot of the time to do it, which means you're in a position where you could capitalize on it. And at that point, you're playing this to win a turn earlier.
You know what I would liken this to? I would liken this to Final Gambit. In a way where it's 6 cost.
But that's
at its cheapest.
That's what I was saying just before. Is I would rather lose the game as a condition and swing with 6 units than I would kill half of them and untap the others.
So when this, I feel like the exploit cards are overcosted for what the card actually does to make up for its ability to be played cheaper. But then that just makes the cost. Why don't you just make it a 8 cost?
Yeah.
Without exploit.
This is from a constructed point of view as well. So in Sealed, exploit is a really interesting and really powerful mechanic because you battle droids and stuff like that are harder to get rid of unless you pull the abundance of removal in the set. But in constructed, I'm going to change my tune on this one. I think coordinate is better than exploit, but I still think that coordinate's not even that good. Because it's difficult in the current meta to be able to get units to stick with Boba Fett, who actively wants your opponent to play units to kill them. And then it's even harder for battle droids because you're giving Boba an easier time. I mean, Boba with Boba's armor can kill a clone and a battle droid with no repercussions and fully untap with absolutely no damage dealt to him.
Yeah.
But it completely ruins your deck's playability, right? I think, again, it's difficult to rate coordinate and it's difficult to rate exploit outside of Sealed right now because they don't really have a presence. And don't get me wrong, they are both interesting and really cool mechanics. I really like both of them. The problem is they don't get to shine because the current meta is just don't do it. Just do it in pre-release.
And all these really high exploit cards are
they could be
when you don't have the units to exploit, they're just bad high cost cards.
Yeah, but in constructed, if you had the ability to build a deck around them, some of them would be really, really good. There are a lot of decent payoffs to exploit with cards like Poggle the Lesser and stuff like that, generating tokens. You do have a decent work. Go check out this week's gameplay. I actually do generate a lot of battle droid tokens pretty quickly. I could probably exploit them out really quick, and that would make a really cool deck. The problem is, currently, I can't really keep Poggle the Lesser around. I can't really keep my battle droids around. And it sucks because I want to. I want to be able to build that deck. I love Dooku and I want to be able to build them. But I think that's where this card falls. In reality, it's probably a little bit overcosted. It's very cool and it could work if exploit wasn't just put into a box with coordinate and pushed into the corner for competitive meta currently because there's not really a way to make them work right now. There's all of the pieces of
there might be, we haven't found it yet.
True,
right?
True.
Yeah, the set's not out yet. We won't say that there's no way to get through it.
In fact, I urge you to go out and prove me wrong. I'd really like that because I really like this. I like most of the stuff in this set. I like a lot of the mechanics in this set. And I like a lot of the key cards in this set. I think a lot of it is really geared towards sealed, but I guess that's a good segue. I give that card a 2.5 out of 5. Meh. But let's talk about sealed.
Let's absolutely talk about sealed because this set is very obviously
Super
designed to be around sealed.
Yeah.
A lot of the cards in this set are, when you think of it from a competitive meta standpoint, are aggressively mediocre. When you think of it from a sealed or draft standpoint,
Super good, super fun.
super interesting, super fun.
Yeah, 100%.
So, is this set a little bit too much geared towards the sealed environment?
Yep.
Possibly. But you know what that means? You're going to have a really fun time in sealed.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you know we're going to have a fun time at sealed.
Hell yeah.
You're going to have fun time at sealed. You're going to play some drafts. You're going to have an absolute blast with those. So this is going to be a fantastic time over the next few weeks as the pre-releases start, the day one drafts start, your drafts for a week or two in your locals. That's going to be fantastic.
100%.
Look forward to this because it's going to be an absolute banger. And I think both Exploit and Coordinate have a really big place in the draft format
100%,
because
1000%.
while there's a lot of removal, it's a lot of kind of weird removal and pretty niche removal.
There's no hard removal this set, which is a very good thing for sealed and a very, very, very good thing for constructed.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when you're approaching, you're going into a sealed event, we're going to talk about a couple of things that you're going to be looking for. So this set has a lot going on. There's a lot of cards that do things that we haven't really seen before, and a couple of things that you want to be looking towards. And it's one of the key things that we've been saying since the very beginning. Find the value. The value is always going to be huge. What can generate you consistent value throughout the game? And there's a couple of leaders that do that really well. We're going to talk about a couple of them that you're going to be looking for in those sealed packs to be able to have the best time.
Yes. Before we go into the leaders, I want to give you a quick refresher. The two main key points of this set, for those of you who don't know, who are joining us for maybe the first time, hello, welcome. We really hope you enjoy SWU. I know this set's going to be really big for a lot of people because they love the Clone Wars, and we hope you love it too.
Yes.
Come back for more. We love it, you love it, love it. This set has Exploit and Coordinate. We've already talked a little bit about it. How it works is, Exploit is a keyword on cards with a number next to it. Usually, for example, we'll say Exploit 2. The number is how many units you control that you can defeat to make that card that you're playing cost 2 less for each unit defeated this way.
Yes. So essentially, if you have a 6 cost with Exploit 2, you can kill when you play the unit, you can or event, you can kill one of your units on board to make it a 4 cost, or 2 of your units on board to make it a 2 cost.
Pretty cool. And then we have Coordinate. Coordinate is another keyword skill. This is a non-numerical keyword skill, and it is it's like a precursor skill that gives you other abilities. For instance, Coordinate. This unit gains Overwhelm. Coordinate only happens though if you control 3 or more units in both arenas over the whole battlefield at that time. So, for instance, there is a unit correspondent card, 2 cost 3/2. Coordinate. This unit gains Ambush. So if I have 2 units on board and I play this unit, it checks, it's the 3rd unit, it gets to Ambush.
Yep.
If I have a unit on board and I play this, unfortunately, it won't get that Coordinate ability.
Now, Coordinate does check both arenas, so if you do have 2 spaceships and you play the correspondent card, you do get that Ambush. It is counting all units you control.
Then there's also Coordinate passives, just, like Cody, Coordinate, +1/+1, Overwhelm to all of your units. That is just, let's say I've got Cody and 2 clone tokens. Awesome. You kill one of my clone tokens, rough gig. They no longer have it. Yep. And that's Coordinate. So those are the 2 main keywords for this set. And there are a couple of leaders in this set that use it really, really well. Namely, we're going to talk probably about 5 leaders that we think are going to be best for you to find in sealed and why they're good. Yep. So we just talked about Coordinate.
We did, and the absolute best for Coordinate, in my personal opinion, is Rex.
Ooh, baby. He is.
He absolutely is. So Rex is a heroism green command, and his ability is pay 2, tap him. If you've attacked with a Republic...
Nope, if you've attacked with a
unit this turn, create a clone token.
That's pretty good.
Now, in Constructed, this is a little bit hard to find the resources for, a little bit hard to get going. In a sealed environment,
You will be attacked.
the ability to create value without spending resources from hand
Very big.
is very, very big.
Once you get one clone token from Rex, you have 100. Yeah, I mean, we've got 1 million units with 1 million more on the way.
Yeah.
I think it's because in sealed it is more difficult to clear that board. It's more sealed currently in SWU is the most pure way the game should be played. It's the most honest.
They don't have overwhelming barrage. Check out gameplay.
He's right though. But it is the most honest form of SWU.
Yes.
It's what I hope to see soon if Boba Fett gets a ban.
Oi.
But I think
cheeky.
I play
Cheeky.
a turn 1 play, I swing with it. My opponent probably can't get rid of that, so hey, I'm going to pay 2, I'm going to play a token to get Rex, but that's not it. Rex flips at 5. So he's an early flip leader. If you haven't seen our set 3 pre-release, set 3 tier list leaders, we discuss a bit about like the 4, 5, 6, and 7 flips and how that ratio goes. So
And there's a little bit more lenient in a sealed environment.
Oh, yeah.
You will see later flip leaders have more of a presence because there's less options to take them out really early.
100%.
And you'll definitely see some leaders that were down lower on the list.
better in sealed.
Better in
Because
sealed
they're more
because,
geared towards
yeah,
that.
absolutely.
So, but Rex flips at 5. He is a 2/6 when he flips. He on flip makes a clone token, and then he gives each other trooper you control +0/+1. That is gigantic when 90% of the cards in the set are troopers.
Absolutely. You're going to get, so that's what you're going to be looking for. If you could pull that Rex, you're going to be looking for that trooper keyword on every single card that you own. As much as a trooper you use you can, you're going to try and put that into the deck because this is where this deck is going to become really interesting. And one of the big ways where you can kind of unlock that coordinate keyword by having those bigger butts.
Do you want a fun fact?
do.
All of the B1 tokens are troopers. All of the clone tokens are troopers.
Absolutely are.
Most of the droids in the set are troopers. We even have some non-Republic, non-Separatist troopers. We've got the Saw Gerrera's little insurgents from their planet. We've got the Twi'lek insurgents from their planet. So there's like a lot of troopers in this set, and there's a couple of cards, once again, that care about troopers.
Absolutely.
So I think that's definitely something to look out for. Building Rex troopers and not really going for any specific archetype other than just play a unit, swing with it, play a unit, swing with it, play a unit, swing with it.
Get that value.
Yeah, if they kill Rex, well, who cares? You've already got a bunch of units on board. Tap and make some more clones.
Yeah,
That's
and just
why
swing
Rex
those
is gonna
clones, swing those clones to trade. Swing into those B1 battle droids because you swing into the B1 battle droid, you don't lose the token. You then tap 2, you go through Rex, you get another token. Your opponent says, "Oh, I've run out of cards in hand," and you say, "Well, I've just been creating tokens, and now I have 7 cards in hand." So, boop, 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 boop.
Speaking of making tokens and swinging into them,
I do like
do you
that.
know who else is really good at swinging into units this set? It's Darth Maul.
It is Darth Maul. Darth Maul says, "I like swinging into units, but at the same time, I'm too strong.
Too strong.
And I will swing into your face that is behind it."
Darth Maul,
That makes sense.
his
I
front,
promise.
it makes sense. His front side is tap, attack with a unit, and that unit gains overwhelm. So in a set full of tokens with mechanics that want you to either exploit them or maintain a board, having a leader that rewards you from swinging into your units and swinging into your opponent's units and killing them and dealing damage to their base is really, really good. Especially when sealed environment is going to be idolizing that kind of play style. Darth Maul comes in and goes, "Hey, I'm going to beat you up now, and you're just going to like it." He flips at 6. He's a 6/6. He says overwhelm. Each other friendly unit you control has overwhelm. If you're lucky enough to pull that Maul legendary in your pre-release, firstly, good job. Secondly, oh my god, because you'll be able to double swing overwhelm.
Big thing about Maul and what you're looking for in these sealed pools is actually, weirdly enough, smaller units, especially in a sealed environment. What you're looking for is those 2/3s, those 3/2s, being able to swing a 3/2 into a droid turn 2
Yep.
is huge and is going to get you massive value in Maul when you're getting that chip damage while clearing your opponent's board away. And so you're really looking for those 3/4/3 casts, and that's kind of the bigger butts to be able to swing through, survive attacks, and get damage, get
100%.
chip damage while you're keeping your opponent's board fairly clear.
And that's kind of what you want to do. Overwhelm in a set that functions around building up a board is really good because it rewards you from killing units and deals damage to their base. So you can just go ham. Now, speaking of Darth Maul and big butts, Obi-Wan Kenobi is also a very good leader in this pre-release
Absolutely.
environment.
Sorry, just before we move on from Maul, another huge one, especially when you're looking at Red Villain. Another huge thing to bring through is Count Dooku.
That unit is amazing.
That unit is if you pull that, look at running a Red Villain deck because that card will go hard, especially in an environment where you go, wow, I need to kill a bunch of stuff. Guess I will.
For those of you who don't know, he is a Red Villain rare. He has got Overwhelm, Exploit 2, and when you play this unit, you may deal damage to 2 units. You may deal damage to a unit equal to the power of the exploited unit, so you can do that for each time you exploit him. And he costs 8 normally, so you exploit 2, so it becomes a 4 cost, kill 2 things, ping ping. So you can swing, you've swung into 2 things, gotten their health low, and then you're going to drop Count Dooku, killing your 2 low health things and killing the other 2, and then you've got a 6.
And this can happen as early as turn 3. You're dropping this,
which is wild.
if you're able to get like 2 exploit swings into like droids and then bump them off and bring him down.
Super cool.
It's going to be absolutely huge for your game, and it's going to be very hard, especially in this sealed pool, to be able to deal with that. Yeah.
Just if you see this card and you can, probably try and run Red Villain.
Absolutely.
But let's go on to. I was expecting Kenobi. Here he is.
Obi-Wan Kenobi is really interesting in sealed because as we were talking before, we were saying that, hey, we might be talking about things that were lower on our list. This is what we're talking about. In constructed, Obi-Wan doesn't really have too much to offer. Because of his 6 flip, he has too many ways for them to be able to deal with him. Now, in a constructed environment, a lot of those options are not there.
So, one good thing about Obi-Wan in sealed is, firstly, his front side. He can heal damage from your units. The longer your units can stay on the board in sealed, the better. You get more value out of them that way. He does flip at 6, but you're going to get there in sealed. And when he flips, he's a 4/7 Sentinel that when he attacks, you can heal and ping. So you prevent your breakpoints while negativing your opponents.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's really good. So overall, Obi-Wan's really good because he protects your base, protects your units, and helps making damage other units easier for you, which is really cool.
A free 4/7 Sentinel in a sealed environment is huge.
Yeah.
And it's going to be really interesting to see where these sorts of things fall when we and what people find, because usually a meta kind of evolves as those first few like pre-releases come
People
through,
enjoy
and
what they're playing.
it's really interesting to see where Obi-Wan will fall, because I think he'll be put a hole in a lot of people's plans, but they weren't expecting because they're too used to just thinking of him in a constructed environment.
Hello there.
Hello there.
But I think that Obi-Wan really does kind of clinch it down for the hero side of things a lot, because if you want to play that more mid-range deck in sealed, that's definitely your go-to, because he's able to block damage, help you build up that board. You get access to all of the goody blue stuff, which is pretty nice.
And I think one interesting thing and almost completely flipping the script on our tier list, Obi-Wan is actually probably a better leader to run than Yoda in a sealed environment.
Yeah.
When you don't have those kind of shenanigans you can pull with normal Yoda.
Needs the control over the deck, where Obi-Wan doesn't.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan just wants you to play units, and he'll protect them. He is a Soresu master after all. So he is absolutely awesome for that. And I think there is another hero that is still really good, and she meets more of the aggro side of things. It's Ahsoka Tano.
Yes, absolutely. I've played quite a bit of Ahsoka Tano recently. You've seen on the last 2 gameplays our last one, and which was the starter deck battle, and then this one, which was the upgraded starter deck battle. Two very different results. And Ahsoka has that damage. She's coming in hot, and if you pull a lot of those kind of early attacking things like the Phase 1 Clone Trooper, the 3/2 that's coming in, doing a lot, it can do a lot of damage early on. And a lot of that kind of ping stuff that you get.
Republic officers, Phase 2 Clone Troopers. Match Brothers may not be great in constructed, but it is pretty good in this deck.
Absolutely.
Because it turns on coordinate. And the biggest thing for her is she's actually got 6 health and she flips at 5. And that's pretty nice because in sealed, she can easily get coordinate off, making her a 5/6, which is pretty aggressive. That's really solid. And everyone has access to her. Much like the last couple of pre-release guides, one of, if not both of the leaders from the starter decks are always a good choice in pre-release.
Absolutely. And we're going to come to our first of the, hey, probably don't do this section of this podcast, where I tell you, hey, probably run a 30 health base. Because aggro does exist, and you will regret it.
Sealed's main purpose is to beat each other up in the face. So if you pull one of those really cool new rare bases, cool. But probably don't run it. Just run the 30 health one.
Probably just leave that for another day.
Unless you want to go ham, in which case, you do you, brother.
Hey.
You go ham.
You draw that card.
There is one other leader that we want to talk about. That actually really got me. There is actually one other leader we want to talk about that's going to be very good in sealed.
We do.
I love her. You love her. She
do.
was in S tier on our thing. Thanks.
And she's an S tier in the constructed environment for one reason and one reason alone.
Nala say what? It's because of clones.
Absolutely. So Nala Say has the widest range of options of any leader. There is another leader that has some more options, but that's going to be that'll come back up later when I do the second, my second of the don't do this talks.
It's true. He's just really difficult.
We'll talk about it then. So Nala Say is really interesting. She's got a lot going for her in a way where the variety of deck that you can build with her is always going to be larger than any other thing. Yeah. Nala Say is the only constructed and draft. Draft Nala Say is nuts.
Draft Nala Say rocks.
That you will have more options than deck slots. A lot of time in these sealed environments, you're going to go, all right, well, I have to take a card or two out. Nala Say will be like, oh, I can use like most of these cards.
You can run Phase 3 clones, Phase 1 clones, Phase 3,
Phase 3 clones,
Phase 2, Phase 1. You can run Jessie. Give your opponent some battle droids. That's fine. But she can include any clone at no aspect penalty cost and any villain card at no aspect penalty cost as long as you're running the base. So she has the widest variety of options, and we already know clones are good because you chuck them in Rex to go aggro. Just build Nala Say aggro. And you might be saying, oh, but why would I do that? Well, she actually outlasts a lot of the leaders as well because she flips at 4. She's a 1/7, hard to remove. And she makes all of your clones heal your base.
Yeah,
so if your
absolutely.
opponent's aggroing you down, trade with them and then heal. It just doesn't matter.
Yeah, so you have access to blue villain, whatever base you have, villain, and then all of the hero clones, which I'm going to be honest, is like 60% of the entire set.
She's also very good in the Maul because if Maul attacks your clones with Overwhelm, well, you're healing too anyway.
So you're probably out healing the Overwhelm in any case. So you're doing pretty good on that front. So definitely look for that Nala Say, and definitely do not pay attention to the aspects on her, unlike other leaders. Make sure you recognize that you can just run all those clones that you've pulled.
Put them in, run clones, go ham, and have a nice day.
And now we've reached the second of my hey, probably don't do that segment of the podcast. We alluded to it before so cunningly.
Oh my god, don't do that. That's awful. That's a terrible pun.
And that's me. This is me saying, hey, probably don't run Palpatine.
He's so good. He's so fun. When you have control over what's going in the deck.
When you do not have the right cards to be able to put... I'm going to do it. I don't. This is a do as I say, not as I do situation.
If you want to win,
if you would like to win,
don't play him.
Don't do it. The burden of not having a leader flip is so massive in Sealed, and you might be saying, "Hey, you said Rex was really good because he could make clone tokens." But Palpatine can also make clone tokens.
You're right, in a way.
And I'll tell you, I'll say it. It's not the same.
It's way harder.
Being able to balance the extremely tough deck building process of how much villain do I run, how much hero do I run, what can I put in this deck properly, is something that's going to be plaguing Palpatine players for the next 7 sets.
Plagueising.
Ooh. But in a sealed environment, you do not have that control, and the deck will fall on its face.
Palpatine is a really, really impressive Rube Goldberg machine in Constructed.
What?
The machines that are like super wacky. You know, like someone sets up like a bunch of dominoes, and then like there's like a bunch of like egg timers
I'm with
and stuff, and you hit the
you.
ball, and it does all that
Dr.
fancy
Seuss
stuff.
style.
Yeah. So he's a really interesting Rube Goldberg machine in Constructed because the player has carefully curated and made a deck that works the way it works, and it does really well because it works the way it works. And we talk a little bit about this in our tier list last episode, where we sit him in the middle, and we discuss a bit more as to why. He just doesn't work in the sealed format because he doesn't have the pieces to.
Yeah.
Yes, there are hero cards. Yes, there are villain cards. But the villain and hero things want to do very specific things this set, where you can't exactly pick and choose what you want to make them function.
Absolutely. And in a situation where when you are playing this, a lot of time people are playing this as more of a hero units, villain events kind of style, at the moment at least. Being able to have that kind of distinction in a sealed environment is just not going to happen. You're going to run out of options, and you're not going to be able to run it very well.
Yeah.
I'll do it anyway, and if you really want to, you go ahead. But be aware that there is a reason why this is a rare leader, and rare leaders generally have a tougher time in these sealed environments.
Now, before we go, I kind of want to talk about a couple of bombs. There's a couple of cards to look out for.
I would love to talk about some bombs.
Obviously, Count Dooku is really good.
Yes.
But you also want to look out for Poggle the Lesser. As an early game play, continuously generating value by dropping battle droids is really good. Once again, go check out the gameplay. But that's great if you want to fuel your exploit. And then...
As a 1/4, quite hard to remove.
Especially in Sealed.
Especially in Sealed.
And then a good payoff for that. Who'd have seen this coming? But the Hailstrike tank, that card that can come out for 3 or come out for 2, that is just like a 7/6. That's just good. That's a beater. And that's super solid. It's one of the better exploit cards. You've also got that pretty cool exploit ambush one. And then I personally really like that 4-cost 4/5 Saboteur droids with exploit 1, so you can make them a 2-cost. I think that they're really good as well. So there is a lot to look out for in terms of the villain bombs. I definitely look out for some of those bigger cards like Dooku, Poggle to generate some value. Definitely looking out for stuff like the Hail Strikes to get that if you can. That would be awesome. And then also, if you're going for Villain Red, gearing for double OM series battle droids and the 2-cost Vulture droid ship to ping your opponent's base for 2 can be absolutely lethal in Sealed. Because they aren't ready for it. On the hero side, what have we got?
On the hero side, I would definitely look towards the green hero as a really stable element to put into your decks. Especially, I would love to give a shout out to something like a Padme deck that comes through here. He's yawning already because I said Padme. He's like, oh, just play Rex, you fool. But with the ability to keep those units on board, having that ability to constantly keep hand and never run out in a sealed environment is huge. And being able to, so looking for that Green Republic package, even if you're running something like Yoda or you're running something like Obi-Wan, that Green Republic package is really quite nice.
You've got your Republic officer, that's the fleet lieutenant for this set. You've got Colonel Yularen, Admiral Yularen, sorry, this time, who buffs all of your hero units' health.
Sure does.
You've got Shakti, who makes tokens and buffs tokens. That's really solid. And of course, we've gone through a little bit. There's no Battlefield Marines in the set, so being able to run Phase 1 Clone Troopers and being able to get Phase 2 for the 3/3 ambush, pretty nice. So being able to run cards like that, looking out for that kind of hero package. I will say as well, if you're lucky enough to pull it, that Ahsoka Legendary does work. A 3-cost 3/4 stat line with a recurable bounce ambush in sealed, super duper good.
Oh yeah.
So if you can get
Good
her,
way to clear out
very lucky.
tokens
Yeah,
and stuff like
100%.
that.
And then if you somehow get some good upgrades on her, like a holdout blaster, put it on her, ping a droid, swing, bounce her. Get them both back
absolutely.
as she returns the upgrade too.
I would love to, if especially if you're pulling something like I know we usually don't talk about legendaries in this, but something like a Kiani Mundi, being able to come through, getting that draw, a green blue Republic Padme deck is gonna go pretty hard in these situations.
You can run Outspoken Representative.
Absolutely can. You heard it here first,
That's
folks.
not hard. But there's a lot you can do with those. So those are a couple of the bombs that we'd recommend looking out for in Sealed. Those are a couple of leaders. There's a bit of a shorter episode because this Sealed, I'd say let it speak for itself. Go out, have fun, play in those.
It's going to be fantastic. I dare say the most fun you're going to have in set 3 is in this Sealed, is in this draft. To talk about draft a little bit, I think draft is really interesting in set 3. I'm really keen to pull some drafts together because
I would actually even say you can play Palpatine in draft.
You probably could
because you have more control over what you pick.
Both Nalisay and Palpatine become a really interesting because you can see what leaders they have. It's a really interesting thing when you have like Rex and Nalisay. And you're like, hey, I'm grabbing a bunch. I'm taking all these clones, and they're like, but what are you playing? And you're like, hey, I'm taking these clones.
It don't matter. I'm not say.
So it actually provides a really interesting, with it, like, because I've always thought that kind of viewing the leaders and then doing the draft is a really interesting way to do it. I think adding in this aspect of, hey, I can kind of do whatever I want. I can take different
exploit decks.
If
you see a Nuke gun racing,
I think this is probably the most interesting draft that you're gonna be able
100%.
of the sets.
Yeah.
I think this is gonna be the most interesting draft. I think there's gonna be the most interesting, unique situations, and I think definitely go out there, try some. Even if you weren't a huge fan of set 1 and set 2 drafts. Go out there and try some drafts because I think set 3 is probably going to be the best drafting set of Star Wars Unlimited. Yeah. And I think as we move on, we're going to start to see, as we're coming up to Worlds in 2024 in July in Viva Las Vegas. Hopefully you'll see us there. We'll see whether we can get tickets. We don't know how that's happening yet, but we'll definitely be looking at it closely. But as it's leading into that, I dare say set 4 and 5 possibly even, depending on when that gets released, is probably going to have more of a constructed focus on it. Whereas I think this set is definitely that kind of pre-competitive, pre-thing, saying, hey guys, let's have a lot of fun. Let's enjoy ourselves.
This set has arguably the most iconic characters for the current card-playing generation. A lot of people who are playing now are playing because they grew up watching the Clone Wars TV series, which obviously got them into the rest of Star Wars, which is fantastic. Absolutely love all of Star Wars. But that's what I think a lot of people are getting into now, and that's why it's so iconic. And I think that you'll definitely see a big up with this. A lot of people are going to play this pre-release and sealed, and then they'll get into it and they'll play with their awesome constructed leaders. So definitely go out, definitely have fun.
Thank you very much for watching. This is a bit, as you're saying, it's a bit of a shorter episode.
Better to experience it than talk about it.
Exactly. And there's a couple of things we can tell you about it, but until you guys get out there and try it yourselves, we're not going to know. So get out there, go to those pre-releases, crack the packs. We'll be with you, cracking our own. Unfortunately, we live in Australia, which has had a little bit of a oopsie daisy.
It's because our country's not real, so it's hard for them
it's hard for them to going from existence to like the non-existence realm.
It's always when it's kangaroo mating season, they always go onto the runway.
Oh, it's just tough. Yeah. So all of our events have been delayed for 2 weeks. we're gonna be sorting that out, trying to get content to you guys, obviously, as much as we can.
We love you guys. Thank you for 400 subscribers.
And yes, last video went over 1,000
That's
views, which
insane,
is
guys.
crazy, and 400 subs. So thank you guys so much for supporting us.
Thank you so much.
And as we move into set 3, obviously we're going to try and be bringing you as much content as we possibly can. You'll notice, unfortunately, we're going to have to use proxies a little bit on our gameplay. You might notice that here and there.
Until we build up the set to its maximum.
Well, yeah, until we can actually get our hands on the set.
Yeah.
So
once we've got our once we get our stuff in the next 3-4 weeks,
2 weeks, yeah.
You'll be seeing all of that juicy hyperfoils again.
Absolutely. But until then, we'll see you next week. Bye.